Hey everyone, Christina Del Rey with your astrology forecast for October 6th, 2020. So if you tuned in last week, then you know that October is the month of the hardest astrology yet in 2020. We are all right now in a transition of some kind, and it's a little bit like giving birth, and we're kind of in the birth canal. We're the most trauma happens, and then the beautiful baby is born. So this is sort of where we're at this moment. So it's tough. We have Pluto going direct. We also have Pluto square Mars. We have Mercury opposite Uranus, and we do have a nice trine from Venus to Uranus. But it's a very big week. It's so big, I couldn't even cover everything in a monthly. I had to do weekly. And we'll start out with talking about Pluto going direct. So Pluto is the planet of transformation. It's the planet of death and rebirth. It's also the planet of empowerment too, though. Every planet has a low vibration and a high vibration. And depending on what you do with it, it can go either way. But Pluto is also very karmic. So when Pluto comes along, he plans to change our lives forever. And you can't fight that part of it. That, you just have to control what you can and give the rest to God. But Pluto also makes us really look deep at the shadows, deep, 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 almost to the bones, right? And it looks like it makes us look at the shadow side of things. So it could be the shadow side of society. It could be the shadow side of yourself, things that you don't like to think that that are in you, because you're better than that. But you realize that they are a part of you anyway. So once you see the dark part, the shadow part, what you can do with it is transform it. And that's what Pluto empowers you to do. And then once you transform that shadow side or that dark side, that's when you empower yourself and you become leveled up, or you become on the next vibration. So right now we're kind of in the final birthing process, this final transformation, but we also have to purge something in our lives that doesn't belong anymore. Something that was taking your power away, or maybe it was no longer serving you in a respectful way. And you might fight getting rid of this thing that you need to purge, but ultimately it's for your greatest good. It might not seem like that right now, but that's the way it is. It's going to empower you later, and it's going to transmute karma as well. You really can only fight it so much. Pluto will put you in your place as far as control goes. But later on, when you learn the lessons, you realize that you step more into being a powerful person. And we evolve constantly, or we should at least evolve constantly. So if you're evolving, you're doing the right thing. Back in August, I did a video on the Mars-Pluto square, the first one, and it was really all about war. And we have this next Mars-Pluto square building as well. So I think I titled the video, I think I just called it War. And there is a war in everybody's life right now. And it could be an internal war, but somewhere in your life, where Pluto and Saturn are, where Pluto and Mars are squaring, and what Pluto rules for you, what Mars rules, look at those areas, and that war is there somewhere. And Mars and Pluto are coming together to make sure that you take an action. However, with Mars and Pluto, it can be one of those energies where you see red and you can't stop your action, like you almost can't control yourself. So it's almost like you have to be prepared for that just in case it happens, so that you can try to step back. In a war, in a real war, you don't really think. You just, you think in the moment or in that second. So that is kind of like the energy that is going on here that we will be dealing with. But because Mars is retrograde, I would think that it would be more internal, because it's about internalizing what actions you're going to take, or maybe being more strategic or thought out with your actions. So if you have been feeling like waves of anger, or Pluto is pain. So if you've been feeling waves of pain, that's Pluto reminding you that he's there and that you're transforming. Pluto usually takes about 5 days to go direct, and then he will square off with Mars. So that happens on Friday. So that is when you can expect, I would say Thursday, Friday, you would expect the energy to be most intense. So I would just, stay on guard for those days and just be aware, because awareness is key, right? If we have awareness, then we can make a choice. This week on the 7th, we also have Mercury opposite Uranus. So this actually happens Wednesday, and Mercury opposite Uranus to me is that like a secret comes out, some kind of secret, especially with Mercury in Scorpio. That means like somebody's hiding something, and I really expect this to be in the media somewhere, some kind of journalist discovering something, some kind of proof or something coming out. This energy is a surprise, and it can happen in your own life too, and we'll look at that in the individual signs. This is also like a quick thinking energy too, and maybe like it comes at you as a shock, perhaps. That's a quick moving energy. And then we have Venus trine Uranus, which is actually a very nice energy. It's really about love, and it's about being social and feeling free, feeling freedom, and it's just an overall warm feeling. Especially if you're in a relationship, you might feel extra special. Okay, so let's talk about how these energies are going to play out in each individual sign, and don't forget to check your rising sign as well. So Aries, we have that whole lineup of planets, Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter, all moving direct now in your 10th house of career and how we know you in the world, like what you are known for. And that is being squared by Mars in your first house. So your first house is how people see you, and it's your body. So there's some kind of war going on between the physical body and what you're known for, or how people see you and what you're known for. There's some kind of action that you're trying to take, or something you're trying to purge, or might be taken from you, but in a good way. This is also an energy of motivation to get something done once and for all. Mars, Pluto can bring out deep, intense anger. So you have to decide, what are you going to fight for? And where are you going to empower yourself? And watch out for obsessions too in this area. So Aries, think about what was happening in the last days of July and the beginning of August, and that is likely to trigger once more. But this time you are more prepared for it, and it's not such a shock. You're going to be more strategic about it this time. We also have Mercury opposite Uranus, and that is happening in your 2nd and 8th house. So there might be something surprising, maybe a secret coming out about something, maybe there could be a communication about some kind of money that you get from somebody else. There could be some kind of, some kind of communication about, it could be a secret that somebody was keeping that just now you're finding out. This area of the chart also has to do with money that you earn and material things that you own, and also self-esteem. So there might be a little surprise there somewhere. And then on the 10th, we have Venus trine Uranus. And I see this as this could be a flirtation at work that makes you feel really good about yourself. Or this could maybe be unexpected little gain in money where you're kind of surprised, but it's like a pleasant surprise. Okay, Aries, well, have a great week. Hey, Taurus. So this week we have Pluto going direct in your 9th house of law, education, and philosophy. Also, foreign matters and long trips. This is where you have been having a transformation of some kind going on over here all year, because this is where Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn have been all year. So there's something changing in this area for you, and it could be your philosophy on life, it could be an educational matter, it could be law, it could be something tied to any of those things, it could be a foreign matter, it could be immigration, but this area of life is changing for you. And this is square Mars in your 12th house. So Pluto and Mars can be intense anger, but with Mars in this area of your chart in the 12th house, I would worry about it being an anger that you might not even really be aware that it's there. It might come out of nowhere. And you just have to be really careful that you're not self-sabotaging. So think back to the days of the end of August. Sorry, not the end of August. The end of July and the beginning of August. And think about what might have been triggering you at that point. And that is going to come back in a new way. But now with Mars retrograde, you are a little bit more prepared and a little bit more strategic to take a more strategic approach. In the end, remember, you want to empower yourself, not disempower yourself. And that's going to be big for you. So whatever actions you take, make sure that they are thought out. Then on Wednesday, we have Mercury opposite Uranus, and this is happening in your 7th house. And I would think that this would have to do with a relationship. There might be some kind of surprise that happens, but it's definitely related to your relationships or partnerships, and that can be partnerships of all kinds. But there might be a surprising development, or there might be something shocking. But ultimately it will be through a communication that comes to you. So pay attention on that day. And then on the 10th, we have a really nice trine of Uranus and Venus. And this actually happens in a very romantic part of the sky for you. That has to do with romance, children, and creativity. So this could play out in a few different ways. This could be you meeting somebody really nice and kind of taken by surprise from it. So this would be a good week to get yourself out there, even though, COVID is a thing, it's real, but maybe even through technology. But always, be careful. Or this could be just somebody saying something really nice to you, or like a nice flirtation and you feeling really good about that. Or maybe somebody saying, how they view you, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that you looked at me like that, So there could be some kind of pleasant surprise in that area. So it will be an intense week, Taurus, but you got this. You know how to be strategic, and it will be a great week for you. Gemini. So this week we have some very intense energies. We have Pluto going direct in your 8th house, and you have been feeling this for at least a year, if not longer, because Pluto's been there a long time. But this is the area of other people's money. This has to do with any kind of money that you don't make yourself, but you get from other people, or stocks that you own, or anything that has to do with like investments. So this is squaring off with Mars in the 10th for you. Sorry, Mars in the 11th for you. And this has to do with groups of people, or it has to do with hopes, wishes, and dreams too. And it's almost like you're making that final push. Like you're just getting so angry about it that you're like, oh, I just gotta push this, and I just have to change it right now. So, of course, as always, you have to be strategic. With Mars going retrograde, you don't want to act out, you want to act in, and you want to do your best. And then what you can control, you control, and then what you can't, you leave alone. And you let karma work it out. Uranus is going to be opposite Mercury, and this is on the 12th and 6th house axis. So this could be a surprise that has to do with your everyday work, something in your everyday. This is the work and health axis. With Mercury and Scorpio, I would think that there would be like maybe something uncovered, or you have to dig a little bit deeper to find some information that is sort of surprising to you, or you get some kind of surprise communication. And Uranus is in like the house of mediumship, the house of things that are hidden, and also hidden enemies. And the 6th house is enemies, like open enemies too. So this could be a communication from somebody that it's not exactly a secret that they're your enemy, or that they're not for you. But this could be like a communication that kind of comes out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, really? So be aware of that. That happens on Wednesday. And then Uranus is going to make a nice trine to Venus on the 10th. And this is going to be in your house of home, and again in your 12th house. So I see this as like just a really nice energy around the home. Maybe you're beautifying the home, or maybe even there's money to be made around your home, or something nice comes to you. I just see this as like kind of something that makes you feel good at home, maybe for the weekend. And this is a quick moving energy, and the larger lesson here is the Pluto Mars. But keep in mind that you are trying to empower yourself. You are trying to level up those energies. So take those nice moments when you can. But the bigger lesson here, the bigger mission here, has to do with that Mars Pluto energy. Well, it'll be an intense week, but you can handle it, Gemini. And we'll see you next week. So, Cancer. This week we have the Pluto going direct in your 7th house of relationships. So this means there's lots of transitions going on in partnerships or relationships. And this is squaring off with Mars in your 10th house. And for Mars to be in your 10th house, retrograding, this is the top of the chart where it has to do with your status or how you are known in the world. This means major changes in those areas with how you are known in the world, how you take action in the world, and in your relationships and partnerships, and how you will empower yourself in the future. This was probably like a once in a lifetime lineup for you. So this is key. This is major for Cancers. So think about that, how that applies to you. But ultimately with Mars retrograding, you want to be strategic with the way that you approach relationships or approach that big final push This is going to give you courage to do something, but you don't want to do something crazy. Also this week we have Uranus opposite Mercury. So Mercury is in your 5th house of romance, children, or creative projects. And Uranus is in your 11th house. And this is like groups, hopes, wishes, dreams. This could be, volunteering. This could be teams. There's something in this area that will kind of come to you as a surprise. There might be a surprise development, a surprise communication. But this is usually like enlightening information, like, oh, didn't know that, and it comes from an outside source usually. We also on the 10th have a Uranus and Venus trine, which I do see as a moment of something nice. This is a communication for you, maybe from somebody in a group or maybe from somebody on the internet. This has to do with maybe like short-term travels. There's somewhere there that, you will be made to feel good, or, there will just be something pleasant that finds you at this time. Maybe like one of your hopes and wishes and dreams. Maybe you find out a little nice communication about that. Or maybe, you hook up with a friend and you have a really good time. Somewhere here, there's going to be a really nice communication that makes you feel very good. However, that is a moment, and the bigger energy here is Mars and Pluto. And, you just have to remember that, you're in the middle of a transformation. So you have to find what actions you need to take to higher your vibration and ultimately level up your life, because that's what you want to do. All right, Cancer, have a great week. Hello, Leo. We have been going through lots of changes, haven't we? So for Leo, Pluto goes direct in your 6th house of work and health and day-to-day, like your day-to-day routines, like how you organize your world, I guess I would call it. And this has to do with like your thought process too. So this Pluto going direct in this area is squaring off with Mars. Mars is in your 9th house. So the 9th house has to do with law. It has to do with immigration issues. It also has to do with travel and education and philosophy. So a lot is covered there, but there's some kind of maybe philosophy that's changing about your day-to-day life, or you have to take certain actions in your day-to-day life that involve a different philosophy, or maybe there's a legal matter that's going on that you're fighting, or this could be maybe this has to do with some kind of travel, but most likely you are changing your philosophy in life and you are empowering yourself maybe through your day-to-day environment or perhaps your health. So things have to change in this area, and they have to do so in a higher vibrational way, and they have to do so by you being strategic about it. Okay, so with that, we have that going on, and we also have Uranus opposite Mercury. So Mercury comes along, and something kind of surprising in the house of family, like the home area, real estate. Also, this is like the area of past lives and ancestry too. So some kind of communication will have to do with that. So if you're involved in a real estate matter, or maybe even a piece of family history comes out or something, but there's some kind of surprise here. So that happens Wednesday, so just be aware of that. And we also have a really nice trine from Venus to Uranus, and this happens in your house of money and your house of status. So this actually, this could be a nice surprise of money, or this could also be a surprise of just like, you know, you doing something and feeling really good about it, or you feeling very free. You know, Uranus is, the higher vibration of Uranus is feeling freedom, is feeling a sense of uniqueness. So perhaps that day you are able to appreciate that about yourself. Or it could have to do with money too, related to something unique about yourself. But overall, this is a moment, and the bigger lessons here have to do with Mars and Pluto. So, and I should mention too that, let's see, so Pluto does rule the home life too. So these two things are connected here. So if you know, if there's a home, something with the home going on, you will feel it this week. Okay, it'll be a great week. I know it's intense energies, but it will still be a great week. Virgo. So this week we have Pluto going direct in your 5th house of romance and relationships. We also have, this is also the area of children and creative projects. So something is going to start to change in that area, or continue to change, but kind of move forward. It's also squaring Mars in your 8th house. So the 8th house has to do with money. It has to do with investments, other people's money. This has to do with intimacy. So there's something changing there. There's, you know, and don't forget, Mars and Pluto are anger. So you don't want to act out. You want to think strategically about what is going on. And Pluto for you rules your 3rd house of communications. So, and this is where Mercury is going to be for you this week. On Wednesday, there will be Uranus and Mercury opposite each other. And so there might be a communication about higher education, law. There could be a communication about some kind of travel you might take. There could be a surprise communication about a philosophy of some kind that, you know, maybe, I don't know, kind of comes out of nowhere, but, you know, it comes from somebody else. This is also in your house, your 3rd house of internet, siblings, cousins. So there could be a surprise communication from a family member. That's always a possibility with this. Somebody could come to see you, you know, surprisingly. But that's the area that the surprise would probably come into. Also, too, we have a nice trine between Uranus and Venus. So Venus is the planet of love, and it's the planet of beauty and relationships, and that is in your 1st house. And when Venus is in your 1st house, you just look prettier. You look more attractive to people. So this I see as maybe a nice communication about an area of higher learning, or maybe some kind of trip that you might take, but there's some kind of nice, there's something there that makes you feel like, you know, you're an individual and you're unique and you're appreciated for it. But this is just like a moment. In the bigger picture of the week, we have that Mars and Pluto to deal with. And in my opinion, that is the most intense energy of the year, as far as us as individuals go. So you just want to be able to handle that with grace and know that you are raising your vibration for a better life, so you can ultimately, you know, level yourself up. It'll be a great week. Libra, we have Pluto going direct in your 4th house of home. So this planetary lineup has been in your 4th house for a while now. So something is changing within the home. There's some kind of transformation going on there. And this is squaring off with Mars in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships. So something there is changing. Something is giving a final push for change. And this, if you think back to like August the beginning of August, the end of July, something was going on. So think back to what was going on and what you felt triggered about. And that is going to come back. But this time you're a little bit more prepared for it. And you're going to be a little more strategic about the actions that you take. We also have Mercury opposite Uranus, and this also happens to be where Pluto rules for you. So this is the area of material things and self-worth and how you earn a living. So there could be a surprise in this area, surprise communication. This also has to do with, Uranus is in like the area of money that comes from other people too. So there could be a communication about money here going on. In Scorpio too, I would think it might be something surprising. It might be something that you're kind of digging to find, but then are shocked by it. Also later in the week on the 10th, we have Venus trine Uranus, which is a nicer energy. So this might just be, you getting away, you getting some quiet time and feeling really good about it. This could be you enjoying the beauty of nature. This could be you just having an alone time, or maybe some even like, time at the salon or something like that. But this could be a moment where you feel rejuvenated and free and happy. But ultimately, this is just a moment, and the bigger lessons this week, the bigger energies have to do with Mars and Pluto. So you want to, whatever this self-esteem empowerment is for you, I think it has to do with the home and partnerships. This all ties together somehow. There's some kind of transformation going on. And the reason for the transformation is so you can, lift your life up to a higher level. You want to level up your life, and you don't want to stay in the same patterns, because that would be the shadow side. You want to transform, and you can't control everything. So what you do is you control what you can, and then you let the rest go to God. These are some intense energies this week, but you got this, and it'll be a great week. Scorpio, so your planetary ruler, Pluto, is squaring off with your other planetary ruler, Mars. So this is kind of a big deal for you. Pluto is going direct in your third house of communications. This can also be like education, but like a trade or learning a skill of some kind. So something is moving forward for you in that sense. However, it is squaring off with Mars. Mars is your sixth house of health and your everyday routine. And it's the house that Mars is in. So something is going on in this area of either communication or learning a skill or the internet, and you have to somehow make a change. It has to do with your everyday work or your everyday health, but there's something here that needs to transform. This is one of the final pushes. You have to really think back to the end of July and the beginning of August. What was going on for you? What triggered you at that time? It is likely that that issue will come back, and this time you'll be a little bit more prepared for it, but nonetheless it will still be intense. So Pluto rules your first house, and that is also going to be where Mercury is squaring Uranus. So Mercury in Scorpio is going to be like, deep, secretive. But opposite Uranus means that there's some kind of surprise communication that's coming from a relationship of some kind, a partnership maybe, but something that surprises you. Or could even be a secret outed about you. So, watch for that. And that happens on Wednesday. And then on the 10th, we have Uranus trine Venus, which is a nicer energy. So this could be kind of like, this is in your area, Venus is in your area of hopes, wishes, and dreams. So this could almost be like, maybe like a romantic partnership that, you just thought was never going to happen and it happens. Or, somebody, you meet somebody at a group event, though there's not many group events going on right now, but could even be the internet. Something very pleasant there, good relationship wise, maybe a nice surprise relationship wise. But all in all, this is a moment, and the bigger energies are going to be about you, how people see you, your body, your health, and your day-to-day routine and work. This will be an intense week, Scorpio, but you can handle it because you're a Scorpio. Enjoy. Sagittarius. So this week we have Pluto going direct in your second house of self-worth and money that you make, or how you make your money, and also material gains, the material things that you own. And that is squaring off with Pluto in the fifth house, which is romance, children, and creative projects. So there's something here that's changing. And if you think back to like the last days of July and the beginning of August, whatever was triggered for you then will likely come back now. So don't forget, Pluto and Mars is like anger. So there could be an anger somewhere here that causes you to make a move of some kind. But when you make your move, you want it to be a strategic move, not a move that's out of, that's just spontaneous. You want it to be calculated. We also have the energy of Mercury opposite Uranus, and this is happening in the house that Pluto rules for you, which is the 12th house. And 12th house can be hidden enemies. So, you have to watch out for that. Like, you could find out that somebody is an enemy and you didn't realize it, and you're like, oh. But this can be hospitals, institutions. I'm trying to think of what else this could be. This is mediumship too, so you could have a flash of insight, maybe a mediumistic moment. Maybe you thought you saw a ghost and it really is a ghost. This can also be endings of some kind. So maybe you get some kind of message, communication that has to do with an ending in your work environment or your health environment, or surprise that you didn't know was going on. And you're like, oh, that's over now. So it could have to do with a lot of different things, but something's been brewing here. The one thing about this area, though, is, it's definitely our blind spot. So we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot and self-sabotage with this information. So whatever information comes to you, be strategic with it. Also, we have one nice trine from Uranus to Venus, and this is happening also in your 6th house, but Venus is in your 10th house. So this could actually be something good in the career area, or how we know you. This could be a romantic moment. This could be maybe a little bit of money coming to you, or maybe this is like a compliment at work where somebody recognizes you and you're like, oh, that's really nice that I got recognized for that. But ultimately, that's just a moment in this rather larger energy of Pluto and Mars. So you just want to be aware, don't react quickly, and be strategic. That's my advice. It'll be a great week. So we have Pluto going direct in your 1st house of body and how others see you. So you have been going through a major transformation with your body, or how people perceive you. And this is squaring off with Mars in your fourth house. So this has to do with home, family, real estate. And let's not forget, Pluto and Mars can be intense anger. So you want to think about what was going on. This is like the war combination. So what was going on in late July and early August for you? What was triggering you at that point? And that theme will likely come back to you. And most likely it had to do with those two areas. And also your 11th house, which is hopes, wishes, and dreams. It has to do with groups of any kind, teams of any kind. This also happens to be the house that Mercury will go retrograde in. And Mercury is going to be opposite Uranus. So Mercury being in this area is going to be a surprise communication from one of these areas. So it could be, it could be a teammate, it could be somebody you're in a group with, it could be on the internet, but there's some kind of, enlightening, perhaps, communication happening in that area, and that happens on Wednesday. So keep your eyes open for that. And also we have Uranus trine Venus. This is happening in your house of philosophy, education, higher education, and law. And perhaps there's going to be a surprise communication about something that has to do, something that has to do with a creative project, perhaps something that you've been working on, a goal that you've been working on. Perhaps you get a compliment on, some kind of educational pursuit, or this could be like some kind of creative matter, some kind of creative project, and or maybe even has to do with children and higher education, but anyway, this is going to be a nice moment, a moment of feeling good, and that happens on the 10th. But overall, the astrology is pretty clear about Pluto and Mars being the bigger energies here. So focus on, empowering yourself. Whatever moves you make, need to empower yourself right now for this transition. So that means, not overworking and not, not acting irrationally. You want to, don't stress your body out, because Pluto's in your, the house of your body, and it's saying empower yourself, but don't overdo it either. Yeah, and this is playing out in your home area too. So something with the home and the self and the body. But these are intense energies, but you can handle them, Capricorn. You have been through a lot these past couple of years, so you got this. And ultimately, it will be a great week. Aquarius. So Aquarius, we have Pluto moving direct in your 12th house this week. Your 12th house is endings, karmic endings. Your 12th house is also the house of mediumship, the house of mental health, and the house of hospitals, institutions, places where people that are hidden go to, away from the world. So Pluto going direct in this house starts to make you feel a little bit more clear on where you're going, on the transformation that is happening in your life. And this energy is going to square off with Mars in your 3rd house. So this has to do, again, with these themes of communication and mental health. This could also have to do with endings and siblings and cousins. This could have to do with the internet. This could have to do with an education, or learning of a skill of some kind, maybe. and ending with that. But whatever triggered you at the end of July, beginning of August, that's going to be key for you. That theme will probably come up again. So, when Pluto is in our 12th house, it's, we can, especially, if we are not living our highest vibration, we tend to shoot ourselves in the foot or sabotage ourselves. And if you are, you could do that with communications, or you could do that with a skill you're learning, or you could do that with a sibling, cousin, neighbor. Somebody could, really set you off. So you have to be strategic. You have to control what you control and give the rest to God. It is, it is intense energies. Once Pluto comes out of your 12th house, it'll be it won't be easy, but it will be, you'll feel like you're moving forward and the changes are happening. And Pluto rules for you the 10th house. So, your standing in the world is changing. And Mercury is also in the 10th house this week, opposite Uranus. So there could be some kind of communication coming to you about your status in life or your job, career. This could be, this could have to do with home and career access. So something to do with that area for you. So that happens Wednesday. Be on the lookout for that. And later in the week, we have Venus and Uranus. And that is going to be a nice moment. So you might have, there might be, it's happening in your 8th house to the 4th house. So there might be a nice moment with family members, or there could be some money coming to you from a house, or, from another income source that, maybe, you didn't expect it. Maybe it's coming from like an inheritance or something like that. But ultimately, this is like a moment in time, and the bigger energies have to do with that Pluto and that Mars. And if you are fighting a war, if you're fighting a war between a hidden enemy, if you're fighting a war between, a sibling, a cousin, or, a war within yourself, this is likely the time that it will come to a head and trigger you. So just be strategic. Like I said, control what you can control. This is an intense week, but ultimately, one that will make you stronger. Pisces. So Pisces, this week we have Pluto going direct in your 11th house. The 11th house is hopes, wishes, dreams. It's also groups, teams, and it could be the internet as well. And this is making a square to Mars in your 2nd house. Your 2nd house is self-esteem. It has to do with material gains and also the way that you earn your money or your living. Okay, so if you think back to the end of July, beginning of August, there was something that triggered you. There was some kind of war going on in your life, whether that was an internal war or an external war, but there was something there that was really pushing your buttons. That theme is likely to return now. But this time you're a little more prepared for it, so you're more strategic in your actions. Remember that this is an energy of action, but it has to be strategic action because you want to go to the high vibrational, not the low vibrational, because in the end you want to resolve that karma and you want to empower yourself. And Pluto rules for you the 9th house. The 9th house is philosophies. It has to do with education, like higher education. It also has to do with law, travel. So there might be a surprise communication from that area of life that happens on Wednesday. But this area for you has probably been changing because Pluto and Saturn came together, and whatever house Pluto rules, you may have been working on your philosophy, or you may have been working on a legal matter or some kind of travel or higher education issue this year. and it's finally going to push forward, but not without some strategic action from you. And then there will be a surprise communication this week about that. And we do have one moment of very nice energy coming from your 7th house and your 3rd house. So I see this as a really nice communication from a partner or a friend that maybe, you weren't expecting, but it's a pleasant surprise, maybe a romantic small trip or something. But it looks like it's very pleasurable and just a nice moment in a very intense week of, intense moments. So enjoy that moment, but know that the larger energies have to do with that Pluto and Mars combination that is pushing you to be courageous or to have some kind of courage that you never had before so that you can ultimately level up your life. Have a great week.